Keep yourself in the loop of everything football on the Golden State Media Concepts Football Podcast. The latest news on and off the field, be it college football, Big Ten, SEC, Big 12, Pac-12, ACC to the NFL. We've got you covered. Listen to the Golden State Media Concepts Football Podcast.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. It is the GSMC Football Podcast brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network. A big thank you to everyone that is tuning in today as we enter Week 3. All Week 2 games are done. I am your host. I am your boy, Kayvon, as always, going solo dolo on the mic. Just me, myself, and you great listeners out there. We appreciate it. We've gotten a lot of great tweets from you guys about the good stuff that we do after each week. What a fantastic Monday night game, right? What a fantastic Monday night game. Oh, that was awesome. You know, the only thing that was missing was those great Raider fans. That is going to be bucket list stadium to go to. Look, the SoFi Stadium, that stadium that the Chargers and the Rams will be playing in, that definitely looks more luxurious. Like that, I think they spent $5 billion on that, and then the Raiders spent $2 billion on theirs. I think that the Chargers, the SoFi Stadium, is going to have more perks, a little bit more up and down, a little bit more things to do. But I don't think you can beat the location that Raiders Stadium is in. I mean, right off the strip. I remember I was there a couple years ago, 2 years ago in March, and we were there for my buddy's bachelor party, and they were building it then. And it was, I kid you not, it was right off the strip. I mean, it was perfect. You can go to a game, then go hit the strip after, the famous Las Vegas Strip. So that was so cool. I mean, I'll tell you what, I needed to see what happened last night. It's been a rough weekend for me. For everybody that has been watching, listening to this show, you know that I am a Falcons fan. You know that I bleed red and black. You know that I love my Falcons more than anything. And I was embarrassed. I got embarrassed by my team on Sunday. It was tough. I'm going to be honest with you guys. I always am honest, so I can't lie to my great listeners. I cried. I am a grown man, and I cried. I did. I have witnesses. I watched it with my sister and her brother-in-law. Or my sister and my brother-in-law. My sister and her husband, which would be my brother-in-law. And I cried. And it wasn't just a couple tears. We had some puddles down there. All right? Like, I couldn't believe it. It was kind of like one of those 5 stages of emotions, to be honest with you. Have you ever seen those movies where it's like, this is what happens when a girl breaks up with you, and it's like, first they go into, please, like, I'm all right, and then it's like, they go into crying, and then they go into eating, and then they go into denial, and blah, blah, blah. Honestly, I felt like I was going through that for this Falcons game. Like, first I was in disbelief. Like, just my mouth was wide open, and I couldn't get words out. You know, I have so many people know my allegiance and my loyalty to the Falcons, so my phone was blowing up. I couldn't respond to anyone. I couldn't. You know, my mom, she follows the Falcons because she's a Falcons fan, and she was calling me, what the heck just happened? I don't understand it, Kayla. I couldn't explain it. I was in so much disbelief that I could not explain what happened. That was first. Then I went into crying. Full on crying. The disbelief just went into reality, and I went on crying. And then I went into anger. And I just started going crazy. I mean, psycho mode, I was screaming, throwing things. I was very, very angry. It was childish. And this is what happens when you fall in love with a team that makes one of the stupidest plays I've ever seen in my lifetime. And we're going to get into all of it. We are. All right, so don't you worry. This is going to be our opening statement. And if you guys don't want to hear it, I'm sorry. I'll get into everything right after it. But we have to start with this. And before we do, I will walk you through what we're going to do today. Like I said, really good Raiders Monday Night Football game last night. I mean, the Raiders look good, don't they? The Raiders look really good. And the Saints look vulnerable. And I said it. Only someone told you guys before the start of this season. But if you listen to the show, then someone did tell you. I said that the Raiders are going to be legit this year. And they looked really good. And I picked the Saints to not make the playoffs, and I'm sticking by that. I mean, without Michael Thomas, they looked weak. Drew Brees looks like he's definitely on the wrong side of 40. And we'll get into that more. We'll do what we always do. We'll give out our game balls of the week. The players or the coaches, whoever that just had an amazing week. We'll give out our game balls. We'll give out the Waterboy Award of the week. Someone or a whole team or whatever that just did so bad that a Waterboy could have done better. We'll give that out. We're going to talk about the injuries. It's been, it's been a tough week. All right, like the biggest loser of this week, other than my Falcons, of course, and me, myself, because I am a Falcons fan, which, of course, we'll get into in a minute. The biggest loser was the NFL as a whole. It was us fans. The NFL as a whole and us fans, because of the absurd amount of injuries that we saw this weekend. I was thinking about it. And I want you guys to think about it too. I've never in my life seen this amount of injuries in 1 week like this, or even in like 2 weeks back to back. And when I say biggest loser, I'm not saying the NFL is at fault for this, right? Like I'm not saying that at all. I just mean the NFL as a whole is a way better, entity, is a way better television entertainment piece when we have stars playing. And we lost a lot of stars this past weekend. And look, it's football. We get it. It's a violent sport. It's a very violent sport. But it's not like a lot of these injuries were like were due to hard hits or head injuries or, contact. A lot of these were soft tissues. And those are the worst. My brother-in-law, he's a huge Giants fan. So on Sundays, it's funny, we get the Sunday NFL ticket, and he watches the game upstairs, I watch the game downstairs, and I heard him just scream, and I was like, I thought it was a good scream, like the Giants scored, and then I was like, you just hear him go, no, that couldn't be it, and I run up there, and Saquon Barkley was down, and I was like, let me see it, like, I just had a feeling, and right when they showed how it was him just stepping wrong, I knew right away it was an ACL. Those non-contact injuries are always the worst. And you could just tell right away. That was awful to see. And, I hear so many people saying, in fantasy, and it's like you got to, sometimes fantasy, I love fantasy, I play fantasy, I'm not going to act like a hypocrite here. I absolutely love fantasy football, but sometimes I feel like fantasy football makes us like dehumanize these athletes. Like, first, let's just talk about like this is their career, okay? They just they just got hurt really bad. Saquon Barkley just tore up his knee. He was gonna be in line for a big payday, and I'm not saying let's feel bad for him because he's still gonna get paid, but it sucks. It sucks a lot. He's gonna have to go through a lot to rehab and get back to the player that he was. So prayers out to him and everyone that got injured this week, and hopefully this is just not a sign to come, but we'll dive into the injuries. that's happened. We'll go around the NFL. We'll talk about some of the big results. Whew, that Seattle Patriots game, right? I told you guys, Bill Belichick's going to do something completely different. And he went away from the run and went to the pass, and Cam Newton showed up. I know that the Seahawks got the win, but Russell Wilson's game and Cam Newton games are the two takeaways from me in that game. And we'll dive into that. We'll look ahead to the Thursday night game, Jacksonville versus Miami. Who thought Jacksonville would be 1-1 in this spot at home, looking to go up 2-1 on 3 weeks in? And then to end the show, I will be giving out the first ever Kayvon Power Rankings. This is the first time we will be doing these. I don't like to do it before the season or after week 1. I want at least 2 weeks in so that I can have seen every team play twice. And even though it's only 2 games, you get a good idea of who is who and what is each team's identity. So now that we're 2 weeks in, heading into week 3, I will give my power rankings, my top 10 power rankings, and then we will update those throughout the season as we go. But first, it's time. Before we get into all of that, I had a very rough weekend, as you all know. It took about 10 years off of my life, what happened in that Falcons game this weekend. So there's only one way to start this first segment. And let's do it this way. You know what? Wait. Let's cue up the music for this. All right, we're going to cue up the music. I'm gonna play some music here, and I'll try and talk over it so it's not too loud, but it's only best that we do this right. Let's cue up the music. This is going to be Apologize by One Republic, acoustic version, of course, because I want to hear my great voice. Hope you guys can hear that as you hear me as well. So here we go. Dear Atlanta Falcons, I remember the day like it was yesterday. The year was 2002. I was 8 years old. I just began to really start to watch football. I became a football fan. My mom's side of the family, luckily at the time I felt, lives in Georgia. So I grew up as a Falcons fan. I was introduced at 8 years old to my first ever Falcons game. Mike Vick was the quarterback. I was hooked immediately. I remember watching as if it was just beauty out on the field. Then came December 1st of that year. The Falcons were playing the Minnesota Vikings. It was Mike Vick's second year in the league, in the NFL. It was a cold morning, but an exciting one. The Falcons were sitting with a 7-3 record in Mike Vick's second year, going into Minnesota. Both teams were going back and forth all game long. It was an entertaining one. The fourth quarter ended with both teams tied at 24-24. So here comes overtime. Mike Vick performs one of the greatest runs in the history of the NFL. A 46-yard run filled with jukes and spins and miraculous footwork all the way to the end zone. But Vick doesn't stop there. He keeps running straight into the locker room as he puts his hands up and says, "Game over." And from that moment on, I fell in love. I found my first true love. And her name was the Atlanta Falcons. And I never looked back. Then in 2007, Mike Vick gets arrested for dogfighting, as we all know. I was distraught. I was furious. How could he do such a disgusting crime? So I let Mike Vick go, but I stayed with the Atlanta Falcons. Then came the year of 2008, and a young adult from the University of Boston College by the name of Matt Ryan accepts our city of Atlanta with open arms. He becomes ours. We love him. He loves us back. And then things just keep getting better. In 2011, we traded up. One of the biggest trades in the history of the NFL. Trade up all the way from the 20s up to number 6 to get Julio Jones and it was a match made in heaven immediately. I had dreams. Matty to Julio, touchdowns. And it's been great. 2012 comes. The Falcons go 13-3 in the regular season. 13-3. They get to the NFC title game. They're playing the San Francisco 49ers, Jim Harbaugh, Colin Kaepernick leading the team. And the Falcons get up 17-0. At the beginning of the second quarter, they're up 17-0 after a 20-yard beautiful pass, Matt Ryan, to that Julio Jones, his second touchdown of the game. 17-0. Then the 49ers come back. They score 2 touchdowns in a row. It's 17-14. And with 25 seconds left, the Falcons drive down the field and Matt Ryan hits a 10-yard pass to Tony Gonzalez to put us up 24-14 going into halftime. So first we're up 17-0. Then we're up 24-14. We come out in the second half and we don't score a single point for the entire second half. The 49ers go on to score one touchdown in the third and another touchdown in the fourth. And they go on to win the game 28-24. And that was the first time that I realized we weren't going to finish the game. And my heart was broken. But I woke up the next morning and I stayed with the Atlanta Falcons. After that, a couple more bad seasons go by. We don't make the playoffs for 3 straight years. 4-12 in 2013 and 6-10 in 2014. So we fire Mike Smith and we bring in Dan Quinn. Coming off 1 Super Bowl win and then another Super Bowl loss. A loss that has gone down at this moment before we're at where we are, The Seahawks lost to the Patriots, and it's known as one of the worst losses in Super Bowl history because all they had to do was run the ball. But instead, they threw it. But we're bringing in the defensive coach. Don't worry, it's not going to be a problem. So we bring him in. And then in 2015, his first season here, the Falcons start out the season 6-0. And I'm like, this is amazing. Finally, we're going to have another winning season. We start out 6-0. And we end up only winning 2 games the rest of the year. We end up going 8-8, 2-6 down the stretch, and that winning season does not come. The first team ever to start off the season 6-0 and not make the playoffs. Heartbroken, but I stayed with the Atlanta Falcons. Then comes 2016. And the Atlanta Falcons make history. One of the best offenses in the entire NFL. They go 11-5. They get the second spot in the playoffs. The defense gets better throughout the playoffs. We dominate Aaron Rodgers and the Packers in the championship game. We go to the Super Bowl and we're up 28-3 against Tom Brady and the greatest dynasty in the history of the NFL and the New England Patriots with 3 minutes left. And before I can even blink, that lead is gone. And we blow the biggest lead in Super Bowl history. And I got made fun of. And people joked. And they still joke. And my heart was absolutely crushed. But I woke up the next morning. And while I was sad, I stayed a Falcons fan. Then 2017 comes. Everyone says we'll never be able to get past that terrible Super Bowl loss. And what do? We go 10-6. We make the playoffs. We beat the Rams in the first round. Then we played the Eagles with Nick Foles. And we're down 15-10. And we have barely any time on the clock. But we have the ball. And we drive all the way down to the 2-yard line. And we have 1 play to win it all. No time left on the clock. And we don't get it. Matt Ryan throws it up. It was a tough pass. Goes right through Julio Jones' hands. Ends up not getting it. Crushed, but I stayed a Falcons fan, of course. Then 2 years go by, 7-9 both seasons. We come into this year. We bring in Todd Gurley. We bring in Dante Fowler, and things seem like they're going to be hype. Dan Quinn is on the verge of, losing his job, so we think he's motivated. We start the season 0-1. We lose to a tough Seattle team. That's all right. Then we go down to Dallas. And we blow a 20-point lead. And we blow leads after leads. And then at one point, we have a 99% chance to win by ESPN metrics. And we end up blowing that. Up 39-30 with 2 minutes to go. But it's not that we blew the lead. It's how we blew the lead. Not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, but 5 Atlanta Falcons players did not know the rules. There's an onside kick. I get it. The ball is moving funny. Whoop-de-doo. Jump on the ball. You are allowed to touch the ball. You are the receiving team. What are you doing? And listen, this is Dan Quinn's fault. This is the special teams coordinator fault. There's no doubt about it. You have to make sure your players know the rules, but also the players should know the rules. It's just that simple. You're in the professional football league. We learned those rules from Pee Wee all the way up. If you're on the hands team, you can touch the ball whenever. You know why we know this? Because they always tell us if you're going to touch the ball, you better make sure you hold on to it. Because once you touch it, and if you fumble it, then the other team, it's fair game, even if it doesn't go 10 yards. This is the most inexcusable loss I've ever seen in our career. Ever. Yeah, we lost the Super Bowl. Yeah, I just went through this whole sad history of me as an Atlanta Falcons fan. But you know what? Nothing is as bad as what happened on Sunday. Because those when we lost the Super Bowl, it was just bad play calling. We got tired, okay? We didn't run the ball. You would think Dan Quinn would have learned in Seattle, but he didn't. We didn't run the ball. Kyle Shanahan, he clearly didn't want to run the ball just like he didn't do it in the Super Bowl last year. Sometimes these coaches don't learn, but those things happen. Matt Ryan, mental error. He didn't throw the ball out of bounds instead of getting sacked. This is pure stupidity. Okay? Stupidity on the coaching part. Stupidity on the players' part. You cannot allow something like this to happen. Oh, wow. Did you guys just hear that? The song ended up changing to some Neo. Some So Sick Neo. Wow, that got me actually hyped a little bit there. You just can't allow that to happen. I've never in my life seen something like this happen. And I'll tell you what, this could have easily just costed the Falcons the season. Easily. They're so lucky that the Saints lost last night because now they're only one spot out if they win on Sunday of first place. But how can you bounce back from a loss like this? And I'm telling you this. If the Falcons do not beat the Chicago Bears at home on Sunday, then Dan Quinn needs to be fired on the spot. On the spot. He shouldn't even be allowed to go back to the locker room to get his clothes. If they lose to Chicago on Sunday, he should have to leave his clothes at the arena for good. And his office stuff and all that. He just needs to walk out the doors like a normal fan would do and leave. Okay? I love Dan Quinn. I really do. I think he's done wonders for some of these players on these teams. I think the players love him. But enough is enough. Enough's enough. I have literally lost 20 plus years of my life because of what I went through these past couple years. And then this happens, week two, you're beating the Cowboys, a team that everybody, if you're not a Cowboys fan, you just don't like them. You know why? Because they have so many fans, and their fans think that they're so good every single year. So you have the chance to beat them at home. And not only do you put yourself in a terrible situation, once you get yourself in that terrible situation, you just don't remember how to play football? Is that what it is? You forget how to play football? Do you need the rule book? Does the coach need the rule book on the sideline? Maybe Dan Quinn should put a freaking rule book in his back pocket instead of a challenge flag, because clearly the challenge flags he throws doesn't work either, right? I mean, come on. What is going on? I cannot believe what happened in front of my eyes. I'm telling you, I went through 5 stages of emotions on Sunday because of what happened with the Falcons. It's inexcusable. It's embarrassing as a fan. It's very embarrassing. And as players, they should be extremely embarrassed too. They really should. And the entire coaching staff, the owner should be embarrassed. They all should be embarrassed. And if they don't come out on Sunday and lay it on the Chicago Bears like they're pissed off, then this team has no damn hope, and Dan Quinn's got to go, and probably a lot more changes that have to go too. I'm sorry that this was a long and drawn-out, just emotional period for me of going through all this, and I'm sure it got a little boring there, but it needed to happen. I needed to let it out. So thank you for giving me my time to do that. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll get into Monday Night Football. This is the GSMC Football Podcast. I'm your host, Kayvon Izami.
Are you looking for help for your fantasy football team? Check out the GSMC Fantasy Football Podcast. Get today's best advice on who to start, who to sit, even who you should draft. From sleeper picks to red-hot lineups, they got it all covered for you. That's gsmcpodcast.com/fantasy-football-podcast. We'll cover traditional leagues, dynasty, PPR, even IDP leagues. When you need fantasy help, there's just one show to hit up. Don't forget to like them on Facebook and follow them on Twitter. Visit gsmcpodcast.com for more info.
All right, we are back. This is the GSMC Football Podcast. I am your host, Kayvon Izami. I hope everyone's having a great day, a great start to their week. 2 days in, it's Tuesday. You guys will be listening to this Wednesday or Thursday sometime, hopefully. The best thing about football is how it shapes out your week, right? So when there's no football on, there's other sports you can look forward to that night, but you know that football, you have Thursday night, Sunday, and then Monday night, right? So, Monday, you're super excited because Monday night you have Monday Night Football. Then Tuesday, it's like, football's over, no football tonight, but you're 2 days away from Thursday Night Football. Then after Thursday Night Football happens, it's Friday already, so you're about at the weekend, and then you have, if you're into college football, which is, always great, but anyways, you're like 2 days away from Sunday, all day Sunday, and then when you get depressed that Sunday's over, it's like, hey, Monday Night Football's back. So that's the best part about the NFL is you have these, I love how they've expanded. They've done such a good job just growing the business and growing the entity and what it's become such a corporation now and such just a big time, like I like to say, they own a day of the week. And they've done a great job with it. And I love NFL. And you guys just heard, I love my Atlanta Falcons. I do. And I'm going to stick with them. I've seen a lot of jersey burning and I saw one dude wrote his actual resignation to the team, which is really funny. Props to him. And he's resigning as a fan. He's no longer going to be a fan. I can't do that. They broke my heart, and I will be upset and embarrassed, and I'm mad at them. But I'm a fan, and I picked this team. This is my team, and I'm not going to run away from it. I mean, think about it like this: I could be a Dolphins fan or a Jaguars fan, even though they actually look pretty good right now. Browns fan, we've had some rough moments, and I know a lot of people would say I would never even rather get to the Super Bowl than have a collapse like that. You're totally wrong. Getting to the Super Bowl is one of the coolest parts ever. Yeah, it was awful collapsing like that, but winning the divisional game, winning the NFC title game against Rodgers like that is such a cool feeling that not many fan bases get to experience all the time. So I take that overall. I'll take that all day, It sucks. It's embarrassing. And what happened on Sunday, I'm telling you, is even more embarrassing. It is. Look, in the Super Bowl, it's the Super Bowl. Millions of our eyes are on you, all right? You play a great game. The defense clearly got gassed. And then it wasn't one play. It was a bunch of mental errors. The coaches thought that they could just keep being aggressive, and they could just step their foots on Tom Brady and Belichick. Doesn't work that way. When you get a lead against Belichick, you beat him with your smarts. You beat him with not turning the football over. You beat him with not drawing penalties. We should have just run the dang ball. Matt Ryan should have thrown the ball out of bounds instead of gotten sacked. Devontae Freeman clearly missed his block when Ryan got sacked. Things happen. What happened on Sunday is pure stupidity. It is. How you are professional football players. You are professional coaches. You have to remind your players the rules, and your players should already know the rules. So it's on both of them. It really is, okay? Yes, it is Dan Quinn's fault, and he's going to take most of the blame, and he should, because he's the head coach. I wouldn't be surprised if the special teams coordinator gets fired for this. I really wouldn't. I hope he doesn't. He's got a great story. He was in the army. He was in the military. He fought overseas, all that stuff. Great guy, But you cannot do that. I mean, you cannot allow this to happen on special teams. You're a special teams coach for a reason. I get that the kick was funny. I get that it was going in a weird motion. I get that you thought it wasn't even going to go 10 yards. Once you see it get to that 7-yard line, that 8-yard line, that 9-yard line, maybe something would click inside your head and say, hey, let's pick that up. And then this is also my thing here. You saw that Greg Zuerlein was putting the ball on the floor, on the turf. There was no tee on it. Why are you still keeping Julio Jones in the middle row? That makes sense if there's a tee on it, because then you know he's going to plop the ball up. If there's no tee on the ball, he can't plop the ball up. He's clearly just going to do what he just did or do a little chip shot. There's so much stupidity that went into this play, where if just one thing went different, it changes. If just one player out of the 5 thought to jump on the ball, oh my goodness, could you imagine that? One player, one professional player actually thought to jump on a football maybe during a football game? No. Yeah, if one player did that, then guess what? It ends. It's over. You win the game, okay? One player, that's it. If one coach thought to tell the players, hey, jump on the ball, that's it. One coach. Guys, how many coaches? Well, there's the head coach, there's the OC coach, there's the defensive coordinator, there's special teams, there's the QB coach, there's the linebacker coach, there's the safety coach. Holy crap. For the freaking stretcher, the person that stretches the team, I don't even know their name. They should tell them at least. Someone tell the players to jump on the football. That's it. That's all you got to do. It's mind-blowing how so much just terrible coaching and thought process went into that game at the end. Like I said, it should have never even got to that moment. It shouldn't have. It shouldn't have. And that's where Dan Quinn comes in, okay? Since he's been our coach, we've never had a top 10 defense. Guys, he came in as a defensive-minded coach. And look, I was talking about this with the guys that host the other shows here. We do other GSMC football shows. We have really, really great GSMC fantasy football show. Go check that out. And other sports shows and basketball shows, stuff like that. And we have a group chat where we all talk about what happens with games and stuff like that. And I was like, look, Dan Quinn is clearly a very good leader. Okay, the coaches respect him. They wouldn't have brought Dan Quinn back last year. I don't care if he went 6-2 or 8-0 to end the season. Dan Quinn's not coming back if the players didn't want him back. That entire locker room wanted Dan Quinn back, including Julio Jones, including Matt Ryan, including the general manager, Thomas Dimitroff. Okay? So, that doesn't happen unless Dan Quinn's a good leader and he's able to galvanize these troops. That's why I think that they'll be fine coming out on Sunday. Now, I don't know if they're going to win. I don't know if their defense is good enough to beat anyone, but they're going to put this game behind them. That's why they were able to put the Super Bowl behind them, because Dan Quinn's a leader. He knows how to galvanize them. He just doesn't know how to coach. Though he doesn't. It's just that simple. He is a leader. He is not a football coach. Okay? If you have a good football coach, you have both. Okay? He does not know the X's and O's on defense. He doesn't. He just has a system that is outdated and does not work. It's that Pete Carroll Seattle system that just does not work anymore in the NFL unless you have some true Hall of Fame players all over the defense like Seattle did with the Legion of Boom. And then he also is terrible at game management. He's awful at using his timeouts. He's awful at throwing flags, and he's awful at special teams like this. So that's the problem. I love Dan Quinn. I think he's done a lot for this franchise, but these last 3 years have been rough. Rough. We have way too much talent to be sitting here at 0-2 or 7-9 to end the year. Way too much. And look, the Falcons' schedule is very, very favorable from here on out. We have the Bears at home, then we go to the Packers Monday Night Football. That's a hard game, okay? If you beat the Cowboys, then you can at least go in, beat the Cowboys, hopefully beat the Bears, go lose to the Packers, you're 2-2. All right? Now you're most likely, if you beat the Bears, you're most likely going 1-3. If you lose to the Bears, then the season's over, you're going 0-4, and you're not coming back from that. It's over. It's completely over if you lose to the Bears. You are going 0-4 if that happens. But if you beat the Bears, you go 1-3, so you lose to the Packers, you go 1-3, then you have the Panthers, you have the Lions, you have the Panthers again, and then you have the Broncos. Okay? And then you also have the Vikings. And the Vikings look terrible right now. You have the Broncos and Lions at home. You have the Panthers at home. You're at the Panthers once, and then you're at Minnesota. I mean, that you can win every single one of those games. So this can be turned around if you beat the Bears on Sunday. If not, like I said, Dan Quinn's got to go right away. So let's now let's change gears here and switch to something that definitely made me a little bit happier. There's no doubt about that. And that's this Monday Night Football game that we saw. And remember, coming up in segment number 4, real quick, in 2 segments from now, we are going to give out our first ever Kayvon Power Rankings, give you our top 10 after 2 weeks. Now that we've seen 2 weeks, we see the identity that every team wants to roll with this season. We see that the horses they have, the players they have, the schedules ahead of them, the teams they played, and you can make pretty good assumptions of, where the really good teams are. Like, you can tell Seattle's going to be a really good team. The Chiefs, the Ravens, that's going to be an awesome Monday night game next week, by the way. So it's going to be a good one. So we'll give our power rankings in segment number 4, coming up in 2 segments now. But let's get into that Monday night game. What I'm going to do is I'm going to first get into the Raiders part, because then I want to have some fun with the Saints part next. So let's get into the Raiders first. Awesome night for Derek Carr, right? Like, all around awesome night for Derek Carr. He deserved that night in front of the nation, in front of Raider Nation, not, there, but on TV, in front of the entire country was watching the opening of the new stadium, Raiders' first ever game in there as Las Vegas, and he straight up outplayed Drew Brees, and it wasn't even close. John Gruden out-coached Sean Payton, and it wasn't even close. Who would have thought we'd be coming in Tuesday saying that, huh? Who would have thought we'd be coming in Tuesday saying that? And, the Saints started out, and I put some money on the Raiders. I bet the Raiders, which, by the way, are best bets of the week that I gave you guys last week, went a good 5-1 over the weekend. So if you listen to us, we got you some really good cash money. But I put some money on the Raiders, and it ended up working out pretty well. I was very happy with that. So this is the thing about what happened. And the Raiders started down 10-0. They were down 10-0 to the Saints, and it looked like it was going to get bad. It really did. And I said, okay, what's about to happen? Carr was looking ugly, and not, he like the way he was bouncing around the pocket. I told my buddy, so my buddy's a big Raiders fan, and we were texting. And I was like, dude, Carr literally looks like he's the Energizer Bunny right now. Like the first 2 drives he had, every time he took a couple steps back, he was just bouncing around. He was bouncing around the pocket. And I was like, what are you doing right now, man? Like, settle down, calm down. And you could tell Gruden just wanted to pull his freaking hair out. But to Carr's credit, he relaxed. He calmed down. And he played really good football. He went 9 for 10 on third down. That's how you win football games. 9 for 10 on third down. And you can just tell this is a different Derek Carr. It's a different Derek Carr. I like this Derek Carr. I know Raiders fans have been hearing that for the past, years or so, saying this is a different Raider team, blah, blah, blah. But this guy, he's living his best life, and he's seeming carefree, all right? And you can tell from his comments after the game that he feels happy, and for the first time under John Gruden, I think he feels wanted. And that's all Carr wanted. Carr's a very sensitive person. And you can just, I don't know him, but you can just tell by, some of the comments he's made on shows and some of the things he said about people that have said things to him or said things about him on national TV. You can tell that for the first time, Carr feels wanted and he feels appreciated. Because think about it. For the past 3 seasons, it's in a row. It's just all been about, okay, are the Raiders with all those assets that they have? They've already traded away Mack. They've already traded away Cooper. Are they going to use those picks to trade up and get Kyler Murray? Are they going to use them to get Tua Tagovailoa? Or what are they going to go out and get Cam Newton in free agency? Tom Brady, right when that Raiders stadium was getting built, all we heard was Tom Brady's going to be a Raider. Tom Brady's going to be a Raider. And it's like, hey, what about Derek Carr here? Like, what about him? He's still on the team, But finally, you can just tell he's happy. And he feels like Gruden finally appreciates him. And Gruden needed to show him that type of love because of how sensitive he is. And that's okay. It's totally okay to be that way. It's not a problem at all. But you know what they do? They go out and sign Mariota. They go outside Mariota and they let Carr know this is your team. Mariota's just here to be a leader as well, but this is your team. And Carr knew right away, okay, this is a bit of a challenge, but I'm better than this guy. And I'll make sure to keep this job. And it was perfect. It's smart. Mariota did that, and he's going to be a good team leader, but he was never going to threaten Carr for his job. And Carr stepped up. It motivated Carr. Gruden knew that. Mayock knew that, and that was great. And that's exactly what he did in this game. He was relaxed, he settled down, and he outplayed Drew Brees last night. He looked like the better quarterback. There was no doubt about it. He looked like the better quarterback. And he was balling. Like I said, after being down 10-0 in the first, and he gets the win. And he signs the concrete on the stadium to get the first ever win in that stadium. Look, Carr has been, he's gone through a lot, as I've said. He's gone through a lot. He's gone through a lot of the messages and the rumors, and even Raider fans at times have turned their back on him and the Raiders. And yesterday in the postgame and during the game, he has his heart on his sleeve. You can tell. He lets it all out there. And he wants to be a Raider. He said that after the game. He said, I don't want to play for any other team instead of the Raiders. He wants to be a Raider for life. And he opens up that new stadium with a victory over Drew Brees and Sean Payton, and I'm here for it. I love it. I thought it was awesome. And I think this version of Derek Carr, I like it. He's not a pushover. He's not just being a pushover. He's not just being, sitting in the corner, just answering the question. he's showing his emotions. He's showing who he is, and he's showing that he's happy, and he's showing that he's ready to play. And I think this is all about the Raiders finally accepting him. John Gruden is finally showing he's my guy. John Gruden's saying, I want that guy. Mike Mayos saying, I want that guy. And you can tell Carr is happy with that. And you know who else Carr is happy with? That tight end Darren Waller. One of the best success stories in the entire NFL right now. Darren Waller, remember, he had some ups and downs early on in his career, but there was nothing up and down about his game last night. His game he was a beast. He was a matchup nightmare. I mean, he was out there. I don't know if you noticed, he was a wide receiver. Then he was a tight end. Then he was in the slot. Then he was a blocker. He was everything. He was absolutely everything. It was so cool to see what he was doing. And he lined up against the cornerback. He wins that. He lines up against the safety. He wins that. He lines up against the linebacker. He wins that. He went and blocked. He won those matchups. All Darren Waller was absolutely fantastic. When they needed a big play, he gave them a big play. When they needed to get back in that first quarter, he was there to help them get back in that first quarter. And I'll tell you what, people need to start respecting his name because he is going to be knocking on the door with some of the best tight ends in the league. He wants to be in that conversation now, and he showed that on Monday Night Football. He said, I know we love our Kittles and our Kelseys and our Ertz. Darren Waller is now in that group of it's not big three anymore, it's big four. It's big four. And young tight ends, they're starting to become, tight end has always been a very overlooked position, underpaid position. That's starting to change. Some tight ends got some big money this year. Austin Hooper, Travis Kelce, Zach Ertz is looking for a new deal. George Kittle just got a big deal. Darren Waller is going to be one of those tight ends that's looking for the respect of his name, And, I love the way, and this is why I was high on the Raiders, guys. I told you guys pregame, I told you guys preseason, sorry, to be fully transparent here, the Lakers game just came on, and they're up 2-0. Usually I would never, ever do a show during this Lakers game, but I started the show a little bit late, so I need to finish this segment real quick before I start to watch it. So that's why I said game there. But this is why I picked the Raiders to make the playoffs preseason. And it's because of the way they built this team. They built this team the way you need to win in the NFL. What is that, huh? Physical football. They put the most money out of any team in the NFL. Where? In their offensive line. Why? Because they have a quarterback who's good but not great. Because they have a very good running back. So what does an offensive line do? It sets the tone for everything. For everything. When you have a good offensive line, it opens up the run game. When you have a good run game, it opens up the pass game. I mean, it's a trickle-down effect like no other. It's physical football to its finest. And that's what, when he was out there, when John Gruden was out there trading Khalil Mack, trading Amari Cooper, everyone was saying, what in the world is he doing? You know what he did? He didn't put $150 million into Khalil Mack. He didn't put another $100 million into Amari Cooper and sucked up all his cap. No, he traded those, got some very good young players for both of them, had a lot of cap space, and spent that on an offensive line. Spent that on some really good players. And then spent those draft picks on players like Josh Jacobs. That's special, Hunter Renfrow. Love that guy. Look, he's not going to be someone that you barely say his name, but he's big time. Big time. He knows how to win. He won at Clemson for like 40 years, it felt like. And he knows how to win here in the NFL too. He knows how to catch the big passes. Darren Waller, they go out and get for cheap. You've got to respect what the Raiders are doing, and I think they're a team to watch. And another thing is I love the relationship between Gruden and Mayock. A lot of people gave Gruden criticism for bringing in a guy that worked in TV. He knew what he was doing. Gruden and Mayock love each other. I mean, they do. There's a video swirling around of them two jumping up and down and just after the game last night, and they look like best friends. And that's pretty cool if they can be best friends and work as a head coach and a GM, and that's why they were able to make all these moves so swiftly. Really, really, really impressed with the Raiders. I predicted them to be a good team, but it was great to see that prediction come true so far. Got a long season to go, and they have a very tough stretch coming up against the Patriots and then the Chiefs. So a lot of stuff that we'll learn about them now. But opening night in that new stadium, great to see them put on a show like that. This is the GSMC Football Podcast. I am your host, Kayvon Izami. We are going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll dive into the Saints part of it. We'll get into the injuries. We'll give out game balls of the week. We'll give out the Water Boy Award of the week, and then we'll do our power rankings. Stay tuned. We'll be back right after this.
Check out the show that's built on the MMA, from the UFC to extreme cage fighting. They got the fights covered. Check out the GSMC MMA podcast. Get the latest news on past or upcoming fights. Join us as we talk to and about some of the biggest names in the MMA, past, present, and future. When it's the fight game, there's just one show to check out. GSMCpodcast.com/MMA-podcast. Don't forget to like them on Facebook and follow them on Twitter. Visit GSMCpodcast.com for more info.
We are back. We are back coming out of halftime with a strong into the second half. I like to think so. Coming out with a big lead. Let's not blow it like you know who. I'm done. All right, that was my last joke about the Falcons. I got to get, I can't keep ragging on them. I mean, they deserve to be ragged on, but now I got to get into, all right, let's play some football and win some games here because, like I said, I'm still a fan and I need them to win on Sunday. So I will also say this, all right? When it comes to that game, just one more thing, and then we'll dive into the Saints from the Monday night game. I'm not giving the Cowboys credit. There was this question going on all day Monday, all day Tuesday of, should we give the Cowboys credit, for fighting in and coming back? Okay, yeah, good job. You guys fought. You played what you're supposed to do. It's your jobs. You don't just give up when you're down. You keep fighting. Good job. You want me to give you credit for that? No, you didn't get credit. This was all on the Falcons. The Falcons blew this entire game. Did Dak play a good game after he cost him the lead in the first place? Yeah, of course. But him and Zeke were the reasons why they were down 20-0 in the first place. So, they do that against a team like Seattle, New England, the Packers, they're going to get destroyed. They're going to get absolutely destroyed. Even probably like the 49ers and the Cardinals at this rate too, even though the 49ers are hurting right now with injuries. But that is all on the Falcons. The Falcons let you guys back in the game. The Falcons let you stay in the game. The Falcons gave you every single chance to come back, including not knowing the rules and diving on a ball. Okay, so yeah, good job. You guys played well after you lost that 21, after you got down 20-0, but I'm not giving you guys props for doing your job of keep playing football. It's not like you can just stop playing football. So you kept playing, and when you play against a defense that allows points every single drive, no matter who's standing back in the pocket, that's what's going to end up happening. So this was all on the Falcons. This has nothing to do with Dallas. Maybe they can get a moral win and get all excited, and maybe that can turn their season around. But this was all on the Falcons here. So let's get into the Saints now. So the Saints lost 34-24. They were to the Las Vegas Raiders. They were up 10-0. And, this is the thing I was thinking about. It's an opening night game for the Raiders, right? So if there was fans in the stands, you could really chalk it up as, okay, the fans were probably just so hype, which they would have been. It would have been awesome to see that gorilla dude dressed up and all the scary Raiders fans that dress up. It's just so fun. One of the best fan bases. If that was the case, then you can say, all right, they didn't have, they were going up against a team that's opening up a new stadium. Their fans were hype. They didn't have Michael Thomas, all that, and you can still use that Michael Thomas excuse, which I'll get into in a minute. But this was just ugly football. The New Orleans Saints just looked like a bad team, a very bad team. And look, I predicted the Saints will not make the playoffs this year. A lot of people think that was me just hating and saying that. Look, that's just my thought process, all because of what I saw at the end of the season and what I figured was going to happen this season. And that's what's happening so far. I might be wrong about them making the playoffs, but I fully didn't do it because I don't like the Saints. I truly just looked at their roster and looked at how Drew Brees plays. They have a good roster, but the defense isn't as good as everyone likes to say it is. And Drew Brees is the heart and soul of that team, just like every quarterback is the heart and soul of their teams on good teams. And Drew Brees is just not the player that he used to be. And this is why. Through 2 games so far, Drew Brees is averaging less than 5 yards a throw. 5 yards a throw, okay? That is awful. So what does that mean for those that you don't understand this? Less than 5 yards a throw. So that means when he throws the ball, the amount of time the ball is in the air is less than 5 yards. And that's not what we are used to seeing in Drew Brees. Okay? That's dink and dunk Kirk Cousins type passes, but worse. No one has averaged 5 yards a throw as a quarterback in the NFL season. And this is why I said that I didn't like the Saints coming into the year. Because it's all about the dink and dunk passes, and when Michael Thomas isn't out there, and he's only played 2 quarters so far this season, that's a big problem. And even with Michael Thomas out there, it's a problem. Because that defense isn't that good as everyone thinks. And this is just who we see Drew Brees as now. And look, we're so used to seeing Drew Brees, hike up, step up in the pocket, launch it down the field, throw for 5,000 yards. That's not happening anymore. That Drew Brees is gone. And it's not a knock, guys. Listen, he's old. I mean, he's old. And he's old as a football player, okay? Not in reality. In reality, he's young. But in football player, 41 is old. That's old. Don't let Tom Brady's 43-year-old age and playing fool you. That's not what happens at this. This isn't normal. That he's an anomaly. He's special for being able to play that. And Drew Brees looked good at age 40. Props to him. But that's not normal. So this is just what it is. And this is what happens when you get old playing football. That's just how it is. That's what happens. But Drew Brees essentially has turned into a game manager. And the Saints know that. That's why they brought in Teddy Bridgewater last year. That's why they re-signed Taysom Hill to a big contract, I might add. That's why they brought in Jameis Winston. The Saints and Sean Payton are no dummies, guys. They know what they have in Drew Brees. They don't go signing quarterbacks like Teddy Bridgewater and Jameis Winston if they don't feel fully comfortable in Drew Brees. But he's a game manager now, and that's okay. And they were lucky enough to support him with good talent like Alvin Kamara, who was a steal in the 3rd round, like Michael Thomas, who's a huge steal in the 2nd round somehow. This team is not about Drew Brees anymore. Now, I will say this. Sean Payton, who I think is a fantastic coach, really good offensive coach, he needs to change up his game plan. Because he has been so used to every year having a Drew Brees that can launch the ball all over the field, throw for 5,000 yards like we talked about. That isn't the case anymore. And he is still calling those types of plays like he can do that. And he can't. Sean Payton has to bring in the reins. He has to help Brees out by changing up the game plan. kind of what Gary Kubiak did for Peyton Manning in his last year in Denver when they went and won the Super Bowl, when they went on to win the Super Bowl. Peyton Manning, they just said, hey, we're going to run the ball. We're going to need you to throw it on big third downs, but just don't turn the ball over. Keep us in the game, manage the game, no problem. That's what happened. Now, the problem is the Saints defense is nowhere near the defense that the Broncos was. The Broncos had some straight-up beasts, some killers on that team. Von Miller, DeMarcus Ware, Chris Harris Jr., Aqib Talib. I mean, yeah, the Saints have guys like Cam Jordan and Demario Davis and Marshawn Lattimore and all that. And but that's not what this is. That's not what the Broncos were that year. And that's why I didn't pick them to win the playoff, to make the playoffs. Also, another very glaring issue is that this offense looks really, really bad without Michael Thomas, who has only played one half of football so far. They need Michael Thomas really bad right now. And even Michael Thomas himself knows that. That's why he tweeted out during the game, this could get ugly fast, and then deleted the tweet. Michael Thomas, these tweets don't go away, bro. Someone's always going to find them, and someone did. Which is a whole separate issue in itself. Like, come on, why are you tweeting something like that? You're pretty much telling your team that they have no chance without you, and then you're laughing at it. All right? Like, that's but whatever. I'm not going to be that old man, get off my lawn type thing right now. But I'm just saying, and I get it. He's their best player. It's okay if they look different without him, but they looked really different without him. Like, what happens if he gets injured for the whole season? Which, knock on wood, I don't want any injuries. I don't want anything like that to happen, but they did not look good. The Raiders' offense looked better, the Raiders' defense looked better, and the Raiders' coaching looked better. And look, if you want to still call them a playoff team, that's fine. I don't think they are, but that's fine if you want to say that. But that's as far as they're going. They are no way in heck a Super Bowl team, that's for sure. That is for sure. Because look, in 2020, you cannot win like Dinkin and Duncan. You just can't do it. You can't win. If you can't throw the ball down the field, especially look at last night, that was an indoor game. What happens if you go to Green Bay? What happens if you go to Seattle? In the cold weather? You really won't be able to throw that ball down the field. And again, this is okay. Like, don't look at Brady at 43 and think, oh my gosh, like, why is Drew Brees so bad? He's in his 41 years old. It's not normal for him to be good at this age, and he did not look good last night. And Sean Payton's going to have to help him out. They're going to have to change up that game plan and start helping him out because he cannot launch the ball down the field anymore. He just can't. And that was pretty obvious in Game 1. We didn't want to talk about in Game 1 because it was all about Brady and how bad Brady was. But really, Drew Brees did nothing other than one big pass to Jared Cook down the sideline. He didn't do anything in Game 1 either. That was all their defense. So, that's my thing. The Raiders looked awesome. The Raiders deserved that win. But the Saints have a lot of work to do, and they might not be the team that everyone out there thought that they would be. This is the GSMC Football Podcast brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network. All right, I want to switch over to this part now. I want to talk about the injuries that happened. Like I said, it really just a rough day as NFL fans for the NFL that we had this many injuries. I mean, to have this many injuries in 1 week, I've never seen something like that before. I've never in my life seen that. We had 7 ACL tears in 1 week. 7 ACL tears. That's awful. Saquon Barkley, torn ACL. Cortland Sutton, torn ACL. Christian McCaffrey, high ankle sprain, out 4 to 6 weeks. Malik Hooker, torn Achilles. Malik Hooker was having a good year. He's a good safety. He'll be out the season. Drew Lock, shoulder injury, out 2 to 4 weeks. Tyrod Taylor, he had something going on with his chest. Eagles left guard Isaac Seumalo, knee injury, out at least 3 games. Brandon Sheriff, knee injury, out for a couple weeks. It just kept going on and on all day. It felt like there was Paris Campbell got hurt. I don't know what his diagnosis was, but he got hurt. I saw that right away. a lot of injuries happened that were just really unfortunate. And a lot of it was, that soft tissue injury. That soft tissue injury that's just really unfortunate to see. And this is what's going to happen. Everybody's going to want to point to the lack of preseason, right? Everyone's going to want to point to the lack of preseason and to the point that, and honestly, some of it is fair. Like, yeah, no preseason. This could have happened. That could be some of the reason, but I fully believe that I fully believe that it did have a part in it, right? But this is the thing. This is the thing with injuries. It's football, right? Football is a tough sport. It's a sport you get used. It's a sport where you have to get used to like getting hit as you keep playing, receiving hits, taking hits, all that stuff. It's like going to the gym and at first you start, you get calluses and they hurt and they're really noticeable. But then as you keep going, you don't notice them anymore as much, right? They're just there. That's just what happens. That's like football. Now, obviously, you still feel these hits and everything, but you get used to the hitting process and the process of giving hits and taking hits and stuff like that. You get callous to the sport. So people are going to point to not having a preseason, and to an extent, that's right. But I look at the lack of off-season where all this occurs, all right? See, players weren't even able to leave their homes back in March even, right? Like they weren't able to leave their homes back in March. Some of them have gyms in their houses and stuff like that. Others didn't. But even if you did, you're not able to work out with the way you're supposed to for football, right? Like when you have a gym in your home, you're lifting weights and stuff, but you don't have your legit strength and conditioning coach. Those strength and conditioning coaches are hired for a reason. They aren't just hired because they are big, ripped, in shape dudes that look like they know what they're doing. No, they actually know what they're doing. They are hired because they know how to get these football athletes in real football shape. There is a big difference in working out and working out to get in NFL football shape. These players didn't get the time with those coaches this year. They didn't get that type of time. And that's a big difference. And that's for sure an issue, right? So while I understand the talk about lack of a preseason and maybe if they play, I mean, come on, some of these players don't even play those preseason games, right? They just don't. They play a drive or two. Maybe it could have changed, but I think a lot of this is athletes get into a routine of how they go about their business, how they go about their day, and their training for the offseason. A lot of these players did not get to do that. They just didn't. And that put them out of their rhythm. That put them out of the way they work, the way they go about their muscles and how they treat their muscles. And I think that could have been a big issue in it. I hope that, we don't have any more of these, of course, but we'll see as we go. Hopefully they start acclimating to where we're at, like with the season as they get in more shape and all of that. So we'll see what happens from here, but really, really just, thoughts and prayers out to those that are hurt and just hope that things are okay moving forward. Now, that whole thing with the turf, what happened with the MetLife turf and the 49ers entire team pretty much getting hurt, it felt like, it really felt like everyone on that 49ers team got hurt. Kittle was already out. Jimmy G got hurt right away. It felt like he came back and tried to play a little bit longer, and luckily his isn't season ending. He'll be able to come back and play. I don't know about next week. I've already heard reports that the 49ers might sit Kittle and Garoppolo next week, even if they are able to play, just because they're playing at MetLife Stadium again against the Giants this time. I heard that they might sit them just so that they can get away from that turf and then give them another week of rest. That will be interesting to see. I don't know what's going on with that turf. The NFL is doing an investigation about it, and we'll see what happens from there. But it is weird for all of those players to come out with injuries. The amount, Nick Bosa, who is really one of the best young players in the entire game and really one of the reasons why the 49ers made the Super Bowl, and that defensive line was so good last year. He was kind of like the icing on top to get them there. And I hate to see a player like that go out. I hate to see any player like that go out, or any player at all go out. But one like Nick Bosa really is crushing for a team. And it's going to be the first time they get some real adversity. The 49ers have been through adversity with Jimmy G out and all that, but that was when they were still bad. Now they really have some expectations. A lot of players are banged up. Raheem Mostert, he first play of the scrimmage goes 80 yards and a touchdown. Literally first play from scrimmage. Got hurt after that, and then don't know how bad it's going to be from there. So I hope that it was nothing with the field. Like, I hope the field was all right and it isn't as bad as that Kyle Shanahan made it up to be. And we'll find out as players start to play on that more. We'll find out once the NFL investigation happens. But all we can hope for moving forward is that this starts to, stop. Really, like we had one big week of it, and then it's done. If we have another week of these type of injuries, it's going to be really interesting how players start to react to this. All right, because that's scary. Players are not going to want to go out there and put their bodies on the line like this. And again, a lot of this is soft tissue, just unlucky. You make a wrong step, you plant your foot wrong, injuries. But still, it sucks. It really sucks, and it's going to impact a lot of teams moving forward. It really is, and it's going to change. Like I said, I hate to bring in fantasy when we're talking about this because we start to dehumanize these players. But let's just be real. Christian McCaffrey and Saquon Barkley was the number 1 and number 2 pick in almost every draft out there, probably. Most likely. Obviously, a couple circumstances where they're not, but I think the majority of people say CMC went 1 and Saquon Barkley went 2 or 3. And they're out now. And that's tough. You got to work with what you got, but that's definitely tough, and we'll see what happens from here. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, what we're going to do is we are going to dive into the Thursday night game upcoming, talk a little bit about the Jaguars actually looking surprising, having the chance to go 2-1 after Thursday night. We are going to do our power rankings, give you guys our top 10 best teams in the NFL heading into week number 1. Stay tuned. We'll be right back after this. This is the GSMC Football Podcast. I am your host, Kayvon Izami.
Check out the show built around the women of MMA. From the UFC to the extreme cage fighting, we got the fights covered.
Listen.
It's the Golden State Media Concepts Women's MMA Podcast. The latest news of upcoming fights, discussions of previous matches. Join us as we talk to and about the biggest names in women's mixed martial arts, past, present, and future. When it's the women's fight game, you know where to listen to. The Golden State Media Concepts Women's MMA Podcast.
Welcome back. Quarter number four, raise up the 4 fingers. We are heading into the last segment of the day. Hope everyone's having a great week. It is Tuesday here in North Carolina, some beautiful weather. I mean, it's cold. I've got a sweatshirt on right now in September. That's not always the case here. I got a sweatshirt on, and it's feeling good. It's one of those type of temperatures where you wake up in the morning and you want that warm coffee. You know how I am. Love myself some coffee. Go downstairs, get my Nespresso. Been killing it with this Uganda coffee lately. Shout out to Nespresso. Listen, if anyone listening has a hookup with Nespresso, let them know. Like, I'm all about, I want to do an ad for them. I really do, all right? I love some Nespresso. They're my people. They're my people. And the way they, like go out and refurbish their coffee and all that stuff, it's awesome. I love their Uganda. I'm telling you, if you guys are coffee drinkers, it is worth you going out and checking out an Nespresso. It really is. But like I was saying, you get up and it's cold. Like you want that warm coffee. You got to get the sweatshirt on. I do love that cold season, that like fall season where it's not cold where you like need a bundle up, but it's like cool where you can have like shorts and a hoodie, like a dope hoodie. That's my favorite type of weather right there. I'm not a big cold person. I'm not a big person that bundles up. I'm real cold-blooded. My hands get cold. My face gets red and cold. Like everything gets cold about me, and very easily too. So not a fan of cold weather. Kind of shocked we're already getting some of that over here. We'll see how it stays. I hope wherever you are, you guys are having great weather. And I want to just bounce off of this real quick of what we were talking about with the injuries. And I want to talk about Saquon specifically and what that means for Daniel Jones and the Giants before we move forward. It's really rough for Daniel Jones and the Giants because this is what's going to happen. With Saquon there, first of all, it's rough for Saquon because he was in a contract year, okay? He wasn't in a contract year, but usually first-round picks that are as good as Saquon going into that fourth year, they get their contract. Like, they don't have to worry about going into year 5 where they don't have a deal. So this was his big third season where he was going to break out, have a really good year. He's already broken out, but you know what I mean? And then show to the Giants that he deserves money in that Zeke Elliott, Christian McCaffrey, Alvin Kamara range. Now I don't know what's going to happen. Now I don't know if the Giants are going to pay him anyways and see if he'll take a bit of a discount or if he'll say, nah, you know what, let me come back stronger and play it out on that fourth year and show you what I have then. It's going to be very, very interesting to see how that goes moving forward. So I really do feel bad for him there. But what this means for the development of Daniel Jones, it hurts because with Saquon not in the backfield, it puts all attention on Daniel Jones. And look, they can sign Devontae Freeman all they want. He was on the Falcons. He was a great player when he was in Shanahan's system. He had some good moments outside of Shanahan's system, but he gets hurt very easily. He's a small guy. He's an angry runner, and sometimes he runs too hard for his own good. He's not a Saquon Barkley, right? He's just not a Saquon Barkley. So the defenses are going to put, like that Monday night game, what did we see? We saw the Steelers put all their pressure, all their attention, all their really week of preparing into who? Saquon Barkley. And they said, let's let Daniel Jones beat us. That's going to flip now. Now they're going to say, let's let Daniel Jones, that's all we have to stop, right? There's not going, the offense is going to be very predictable is what I'm trying to say. When you don't have a Saquon Barkley back there, these teams are not scared of the run. They will stop the run easily, and it's going to be very predictable that you're going to be dropping back to pass. So this is going to show us a lot of who Daniel Jones is, but it's also going to be a bit of a unfair assumption, unfair really measurement of how he plays and who he is because he's not going to have his best player out there. And that's something we need to focus on as we move forward. So and it's going to be interesting what Coach Joe Judge does in the way he coaches about it. Does he stay in a conservative type role, still tries to run the ball, or does he let Daniel Jones just go off and start slinging it and just chucking that ball all around? I think Daniel Jones is a player that can throw it 40 plus times a game, but he's a young player. You don't want to put him in that situation at this second year in. You really don't. So that's going to be tough for the Giants. It's going to be a lot of tough decisions for guys like Dave Gettleman to decide what they're going to do moving forward. And we'll see what happens. This is the GSMC Football Podcast brought to you by GSMC Podcast Network. Let's turn our attention to that Thursday night game now. Really, Battle of Florida going on. Battle of the Beards. I guess we should say Battle of the Mustache Man. Gardner Minshew versus Battle of the Beard, Ryan Fitzpatrick, right? That's what we're going to have here. Battle of the Mustache Man versus Battle of the Beard. Battle of Florida. Miami Dolphins coming up to visit the Jacksonville Jaguars. The Jaguars are a bit of a surprise, right? Beat the Indianapolis Colts opening week. 8-point underdogs. They go out at home and just beat them. Gardner Minshew, they get down early and big against Tennessee. Gardner Minshew leads them all the way back where they end up losing a 3-point game to the Titans. And Ryan Tannehill looked really impressive. Really impressive that game. He is doing something this year. He's looking like an elite quarterback. But Gardner Minshew's looking special too. Let me tell you something. Gardner Minshew is looking very special right now. And this is what I told you guys beforehand. Remember, when the Jaguars started trading away all their players, I told you that they're going to be the worst team in the league, right? I said that. I think I'm going to be wrong on that. I do not think they will be the worst team in the league with Gardner Minshew. But you remember what I did say? I said tanking in the NFL is extremely hard to do. Why, Kayvon? Because there's so many other players on the team that when you start to ship out these good players, other players are going to step up. And NFL is one of those things where you only get one shot sometimes. And if you don't show up in that one shot, you might not get another chance. So they have guys like James Robinson, that's just saying, hey, I'm the running back right now. Let me show you how it's done. Keelan Cole, he's playing really well. Laviska Shenault, their rookie. Chris Connolly, Tyler Eifert, who wasn't working out in Bengals, came over and he's rejuvenating his career. And then Gardner Minshew is showing that he can pass the ball like a true NFL quarterback. 75% completion percentage, 512 yards through 2 games, throwing 7.9 yards a throw, which is really good. 6 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. They're doing a good job, and this is why I said, look at the Dolphins last year. I said this, right? I said, look at the Dolphins. They traded away everyone and their moms, And what happened? They ended up winning 5 games, and they didn't get that number 1 pick like they wanted to. And they wanted Tua anyways, they got Tua, but I think we all know if they got that number 1 pick, they would have got Joe Burrow. And look what Joe Burrow looks right now. And I'll be fair, we haven't seen Tua play yet, so we got to see how that goes. But that's the whole point here. You cannot tank in the NFL like you tank in the NBA. You just can't do it. There's too many players that are eager to prove themselves. There's too many players that are involved on the field. It's a 22-man game, not a 1-man game. There's too much that goes into it, right? Way too much that goes into it. So as much as you want to, we're going to trade away this guy, we're going to trade away this guy. And I said it. I thought they're going to be the worst team in the league. I do not think they'll be the worst team in the league anymore. I think Gardner Minshew is clearly just too good of a player to let that happen. And they have some good young pieces. I love DJ Chark out of LSU. He's got a lot of potential. Miles Jack on defense, great linebacker. They have some Joe Sherbert, very good linebacker. They have some C.J. Henderson, the rookie out of Florida that the Falcons really wanted. He's a great player. That he's looking like he's going to be a really good quarterback. So they have some players that I don't think that they will be the worst team in the league anymore. Now, let's switch our attention over to Miami, okay? Because who do they go up against this week? Miami. Miami's 0-2. But to Miami's credit, they've lost 2 very close games against 2 really good teams. So week 1, they go and lose to the New England Patriots. First week playing against Cam Newton, and they just run all over them for 220 yards. They weren't prepared for that. They lose 21-11. Still only a 10-point game there. Then they play against Buffalo, who Josh Allen, looking like an early MVP candidate, throws for 417 yards and 4 touchdowns, and the Dolphins only lose 31-28. Ryan Fitzpatrick was threw for 328 yards, 2 touchdowns. Mike Gesicki, the beast tight end out of Penn State, 8 catches, 130 yards, and a touchdown. The Dolphins have some players as well, right? And I really wish we could have seen Tua in this game. I really wish. I would have loved a Gardner Minshew Tua battle, but we're getting the battle of the beard versus the battle of the mustache, and I'll take that. Don't look at the Dolphins' record at 0-2 and say, oh, here they go, they're a bad football team. They're not a bad football team. They're not, okay? They don't have enough pieces yet. They spent a lot of money in free agency, but it's going to take time. They have a very good coach. He will get them going. He will get the players going under control, but it's the NFL. I mean, look, they have the Jaguars, the Seahawks, the 49ers, and the Broncos as their next 4 opponents. They might not win a game, okay? I mean, it's the NFL. It is really hard. But what I love to see is that they're in the games. They're being competitive. They're not getting blown out. And that's all the credit to Brian Flores. You know, he's getting them under control. He's coaching them up. He's making sure that they're prepared, ready to go. And credit to him. Now, I don't think they're going to be a playoff team. I never expected them to be. I know some people picked them to make the playoffs because of that 7th spot open up, but I just don't see that happening. But I do think they give in a good fight each game like this, and they make opponents really respect them. And that's all you need to be able to ask for, is that opponents are going to really respect you and put in the work to really have to beat you like the Bills did this week, and they only won by 3, and they are a really good football team. I mean, Josh Allen is playing himself right in that fantasy conversation with Russell Wilson right now for sure. So let's go to the power rankings to end the show. We're going to go start with 10 and go to 1. Let's get it rolling. My 10th best team is the Tennessee Titans. Tennessee Titans 2-0. Hard-fought Monday night win in Week 1 where they had to overcome their kicker, Steven Gostkowski, missing 3 field goals and extra point. But they fought back. They showed that they have, what it takes to fight back like that. Really, really impressive team so far. Ryan Tannehill's scoring just has been off the charts. He's just throwing it really, really well. He looks like a super accurate quarterback. Just starts picking up right where he left off to end the season. Jonnu Smith, the tight end, has been really good, consistent target. Someone to also look at for fantasy, who's probably still on the waivers if you need to pick up a tight end. Clearly, Ryan Tannehill has really enjoyed going to Jonnu Smith. A.J. Brown was out last game, and they still got the win. Their defense has looked a little rough, allowing the Jaguars, who, again, I said definitely can put up points, but to allow them to come put 30 on you at home, that's a little rough. That's something you got to be worried about, and I'm sure Mike Vrabel is worried about that, but Tennessee Titans are my 10th best team. Number 9, Arizona Cardinals. Absolutely love what Kyler Murray is doing right now. Kyler Murray is putting on a show. He is showing that he is ready for this moment. The Cliff Kingsbury is showing that he is ready to be a coach at this moment. They beat the 49ers in San Francisco, and I know there's no fans, but still, 24-20. Then Washington is coming off a real big high, coming back against Philadelphia 17-0, and Washington says, no, we're not the Eagles. We're just going to destroy you 30-15. The defense looks better. Kyler Murray looks like he's ready to carry this team with his legs and with his arms. Him and DeAndre Hopkins are fitting in perfect. They are my 9th best team. My number 8 is the Green Bay Packers. Look, the Green Bay Packers, I was all wrong about so far this season. I know they played 2 teams with terrible defenses, okay? And I definitely want to see more than that, okay? They played the Lions and the Vikings, and both of those teams have been really bad so far, like really bad. But this offense has looked awesome. There's been no issues. Aaron Jones is showing he's pissed off that they drafted A.J. Dillon, which I told you guys all along. I said, we're looking at the wrong Aaron. I mean, yeah, Rodgers is pissed about what happened with Jordan Love, but we're forgetting about Aaron Jones, who had a really good season last year, led the league in rushing touchdowns, and then they go draft this other running back? Nah. Aaron Jones is showing why he's a great running back and he's ready to get paid. Aaron Rodgers and Matt LaFleur are connecting so well. That offense looks really good. They go into New Orleans on Sunday, and I expect them to put on a show and really, make a statement there as well. My sixth best team is the Buffalo Bills. Josh Allen just looks really good. People keep hating on Josh Allen. I don't know why, but he can throw the ball. And he's getting more and more accurate as he goes. Stephon Diggs and him are just fitting together perfectly. Diggs leads the league. He's tied with Calvin Ridley in receiving yards. The deep ball is working great. Him and Diggs are working really good together. I mean, they are. That acquisition is looking like it's so worth it. Josh Allen has thrown for 729 yards. Diggs has caught 239 receiving yards. They also have John Brown, who's caught 152, 2 touchdowns. Cole Beasley, Isaiah McKenzie, Dawson Knox. I mean, Zach Moss, the rookie running back, Devin Singletary, the second-year running back. They've got star power all over this offense, and we're not even talking about the defense, which has not played good yet, but they've got a great coach in Sean McDermott. He'll get them going. That was my seventh best team. My sixth, the Los Angeles Rams. Sean McVay is showing why the whole entire NFL world was freaking out about him and trying to hire anyone that even touched him or had a cup of coffee with him before or looked like him, whatever. He is doing a really good job with Jared Goff. Jared Goff looks so much more calm, under control. They're doing it without Todd Gurley. They're doing it with a running back by committee and guys like Darrell Henderson, Malcolm Brown, rookie Cam Akers, Cooper Kupp showing up. The defense looks really, really good. Very impressed with the defense so far. Sean McVay doing a coaching clinic so far. Really impressed by the Rams. 2 big wins so far. Number 5, New England Patriots. They're 1-1, but they're my highest 1-1 team I have here. But I love what the Patriots are doing with Cam Newton. I told you guys last week, watch. They're going to run like crazy against the Dolphins, and then they're going to come out and they're going to show the world how Cam can pass it. And he threw for freaking 397 yards. 397 yards, 14 incompletions. It was beautiful. Rushed for two touchdowns. If you want to complain to Bill Belichick about that play, go ahead. But whatever. I trust Bill Belichick. I'm going to let him make that call 10 out of 10 times. Should he have switched it up and done something different? Yeah, of course. But he didn't. Whatever. I'm not. They lost to a really, really good Seattle team. New England is a very good team. If Cam stays healthy, they're going to be in it for a long time. Pittsburgh Steelers, number 4. I love everything about the Steelers. Big Ben looks good. Big Ben looks like he's settling in. Deontay Johnson is looking like a star receiver. Juju Smith-Schuster, James Conner, Benny Snell. They've got weapons, and I'm not even talking about the defense yet. The defense is going to carry this team. It's just up to Big Ben to end it. That's all. The defense will carry this team. Big Ben just has to end the games, make the throws that he needs to make in clutch time, which he's done his entire career. If he can do that, this team will be around late as well. They're my number 4. My number 3, Kansas City Chiefs. I know that's crazy to say they're number 3, but they looked bad against the Chargers. They looked bad, and all credit to the Chargers and Anthony Lynn and then them being ready, especially with rookie Justin Herbert. They just looked bad. It took a really miraculous play run by Patrick Mahomes, and then 3 50-yard kicks by Harrison Butker. That's hard to see happen a lot, but all credit to them for that. And they're the number 3 team, and they have a showdown, baby, against my number 2 team, which is the Baltimore Ravens, who just look unstoppable right now. Now, they played the Browns, who I still don't think is a very good football team, and they played the Texans, who have definitely disappointed me so far, like really disappointed me so far. So I want to see how they do against the Kansas City Chiefs, the Super Bowl champions. How do they do against the Kansas City Chiefs? Then that's going to be my big say, okay, this team is, they're one of the best. They're the top 2 team in the league, no doubt about that. I would be perfectly fine if you had them number 1, but I just want to wait, see how they do against Kansas City first. My number 1 team is Seattle Seahawks. I'm sorry. What they have done, I saw them up close in person against the Seahawks, against the Falcons week 1. They just came out and said Russ Cook. And then against the Patriots in week 2, Russell Wilson had 3 incompletions against us and 7 incompletions against the Seahawks. What That's a total of 10 complete incompletions in 2 games. Russell Wilson is a whole different player this year. He's coming out with swagger, like he's talking about it. He's saying, I'm the best quarterback in the league to Dan Patrick. Usually we just get all the cliches with Russell Wilson, but for some reason that's changing, and I love it. DK Metcalf is a star in his second year. Tyler Lockett's consistent. Chris Carson looks great. I mean, this team, the defense looks questionable. Jamal Murray, he's settling in nice. That defense is a bit of a problem, though. They made a good stop against the Patriots, but this offense, if Russell Wilson keeps playing like this, they can win the whole Super Bowl. And Russell Wilson will win the MVP if he keeps this up. And I've been very impressed with them. So they are my number 1 team. And that is the first edition of the Kayvon Power Rankings. Those are my top 10s. We'll update those, every other week or so here. We're not going to do it every show, but every other week or so here, just to as time starts to go and games start to be played more and more, and teams start to lose and win more, we'll update it from there. But I appreciate everyone for tuning in. This is, as you guys know, the GSMC Football Podcast. Thank you for listening, which is the GSMC Football Podcast is brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network. I would like to ask that you please remember to subscribe to the show, write a nice review. That really helps us out. Also, if you can, please follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Thank you so much. You all have a great night. Enjoy your Thursday night football, and we will talk over the weekend to get ready for week 3 of the Sunday and Monday games. Let's go. Have a good one. Bye.
Tired of searching the vast jungle of podcasts? Now listen close and hear this out. There's a podcast network that covers just about everything that you've been searching. Hey! The Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network is here. Nothing less than a podcast bliss with endless hours of podcast coverage. From news, sports, music, fashion, cooking, entertainment, fantasy, football, and so much more. So stop lurking around and go straight out to the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. Guaranteed to fill that podcast itch. Whatever it may be. Visit us at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter, and download us on iTunes, SoundCloud, and Google Play.